particularly exciting, especially for those of you who are involved in finance. This is a situation where, for pretty minimal dollars, the city can save its ratepayers significant dollars. And this is a proposed refinancing of our Series 2008 wastewater treatment plant sewer revenue bonds that were issued, obviously, in 2008. They're a 20-year bond. They come halfway through maturity in May of 2008 or 2018, at which time they can be called. Calling means that the issuing entity can redeem those bonds and either sell them or essentially call them back and buy them back and save money. So what's happened since 2008, the cost of bonds, the interest rate affiliated with bonds or associated with bonds, has fallen quite a bit. You'll recall we had our previous refinancing bonds were for our Series 2011 sewer revenue bonds, wastewater treatment plant sewer revenue bonds, which ended up saving us quite a bit of money when we reissued those. You can only reissue them on the call dates. So the call date for these bonds is May 2018. So what we've done is we've retained Piper Jaffray in Boise, Eric Herringer, to be our financial consultant on this. He's the one who is running the project. So the financial consultants took our current debt, and the package that you have in your packet is an RFP, which is sent out to banks that the city does business with, offering to allow them to bid on the refinancing refunding package. What the hope is that their proposals as they come back will be at a lower rate than what the bonds are today. Estimated, and if you look at the different proposals and the different materials in your packets, there are different issuance you can do. You can do a public issuance, a private placement, or you can place them through the Idaho Bond Bank. The public placement is quite a bit more expensive. You don't get quite the interest savings, and it's a long process. The Idaho Bond Bank is the longest process, but is a little cheaper than the private placement. Private placement, which essentially is one financial institution coming in and purchasing the entire bonding issue or the entire debt issue. They would come in. It's a very short process. It is competitive interest rate, not quite as much as you would expect from the Idaho Bond Bank, but right now bonds are at historic lows, so it makes sense to get this done as quickly as possible and lock that interest rate in. If this goes through, you'll notice that the date that the proposals are to come back to the city is November 15th. So between November 15th and our council meeting, I believe it's December 5th, we should be bringing you a package back for your formal acceptance. What's happening now is if we do not get proposals back which are acceptable to the city, then the bonds do not need to be called. So one of the other nice things about this is that it does not extend the length of the bonds. There's still a 20-year bond in total. And the savings, as you can see from the documentation, is between $300,000 and $340,000 over the remaining life of the bond, about $30,000 to $34,000 per year, which would save ratepayers money. Not saying the rates are going to go down, but the savings can then go into some of the projects that you would have to levy additional rate increases for. So it's a good deal all the way around. It does not cost the city very much at all to do this, and the savings are quite significant.
Very good. Catherine.
My question is just, since I'm new to the calling back of bonds, when's the last time that the city did this?
It was in 2011. We reissued them as Series 2011. They were incurred in 2001. Again, the way you issue bond, or the way the city has issued our bonds, is we have an A+ bond rating. Mm-hmm. We got that when we went to, I believe it was Standard & Poor's, if I recall, in San Francisco, and they looked at the city's, the way the city's run. They looked at our assets. They looked at our financials. They looked at our governance. And they said, yeah, we will rate you A+.
And they also look at your total debt.
You bet. And the city does not have significant total debt. Mm-hmm. So When we issued those bonds, they were a public sale, so there was an actual bond sale. And the terms of the bond were that they were a 20-year bond, callable in 10 years. That gives the municipality the flexibility, if you issue them at a certain rate, for instance, if bond rates are high when you sell them, as in 2008, they weren't exceedingly high, but they were marginal. Well, since then, bond rates have come down. We'd like to take advantage of those lower interest rates. In 2011, of course, 2001, bond rates were pretty significantly high. So the same thing, we could issue them for less in 2011. Now, the opposite could be true as well. You could sell them when they're low, and then you don't have to call them back. That's up to the option of the issuer. So it gives some flexibility. It's just worked out in this situation that the bond rates or the fluctuations of the market have worked in favor of the city.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Walter?
Gary, just to make sure that I'm clear, we have already put this refinancing out on the street.
Yes.
We're looking for responses by November the 15th to see what the market will
Yes.
tell us. And we're looking at all three: private placement, public, and the bond bank?
No, just private placement.
Just private placement. So the action you're looking for tonight is not to approve refinancing, but to approve consideration of refinancing. Is that more correct? So,
Certainly.
because this will be brought back to us.
Absolutely.
And say, here's what we've got.
You will approve the proposal at that time.
Correct, okay.
When I crafted the action, it was to approve the refinancing process.
The financial service agreement.
Yeah.
Ratify
Well,
the financial
it's
service.
ratify the
Approve the
agreement
refinance.
and approve refinancing of the Series 2008. I guess I'm just being picky here.
Consideration is fine.
Consideration of refinancing.
It will come back to you for final approval.
Okay. If, Mr. Mayor, if no one has any other questions, then I would make the motion that we do ratify the financial services agreement and approve consideration of refinancing, refunding of the City of Moscow Series 2008 sewer revenue bonds.
Second. Okay. Walter made the motion, Jim seconded to ratify the financial service agreement and approve the consideration of refinancing and refunding of the City of Moscow Series 2008 sewer revenue bonds. Start the roll with Gina.
Aye.
All right.
And I.
Okay, we'll move forward with that, Gary, and then you'll let us know later on. Okay.